Hi everyone, I am Marisse Diaz from BSCE-3A, and today I will be reporting about design services for construction projects, which is a subtopic under classification of CE services. Civil engineering services are required for each of the 6 typical phases of construction project. All services are preferably furnished by the same civil engineer for consistency and efficiency. Although at times, services in various phases are furnished by different engineers or by the client. The services are supplemented by special services which may be provided by the client, a specialized engineer, or another civil engineer. The 6 standard phases of construction project and engineering services needed for each are the following. The first one is study and report phase. Second is preliminary design phase. Third is the final design phase. Fourth is the bidding or negotiation phase. Fifth is construction phase. And lastly, operation phase. The first phase of construction project and engineering services is the study and report phase. This phase involves determination of project scope and economic and technical evaluation of feasible alternatives. The services performed during this phase may include: Number 1, reviewing available data and consulting with the client. This is to clarify and define the client's requirement for the project. Number 2 is advertising the client as to the necessity of providing or obtaining from other additional data or services and assisting the client in obtaining such data and services. These additional services may include photogrammetry, renaissance survey, property survey, topographic surveys, technical investigation and consultation, seismicity study, compilation of hydrological data, traffic studies, materials engineering, assembly of zoning, deed and other restrictive land use information, and environmental assessment and impact statement. Number 3 is identifying and analyzing requirements of governmental authorities having jurisdiction to approve the design of the project and participating in consultation with such authorities. Number 4 is providing analysis of the client's need, also planning surveys, comparative evaluation of prospective sites and solutions. Number 5 is providing a general economic analysis of the client's requirement applicable to various alternatives. And lastly, preparing a report and presenting alternative solutions available to the client with the civil engineer's findings and recommendations. The report may contain schematic layouts, sketches, conceptual design criteria with appropriate exhibitions to indicate clearly the considerations involved, and the civil engineer's conceptual opinion of probable cost of the project. Next is the second phase of construction project, which is the preliminary design phase. This phase involves the establishment of general size and scope of the project and its location of the selected site. The preliminary design services may include: Number 1 is consulting with the client, reviewing preliminary reports, clarifying and defining the project requirements, reviewing available data, and discussing the general scheduling. Number 2 is advising the client as to whether he or she needs additional data or services and assisting the client in obtaining such data and services. Number 3 is preparing preliminary design documents consisting of the final design criteria, preliminary drawings, outline specification, and written description of the project. Number 4 is preparing revised estimate of probable total project cost. And lastly, providing periodic status report. Next is the third standard phase of construction project, which is the final design phase. In this phase, a project development is usually undertaken only after the client has approved the preliminary design phase material. The basic services for the final design phase may include: Number 1 is preparing construction drawings and specifications showing the character and extent of the project based on the accepted preliminary design documents. Number 2 is preparing and furnishing to the client a revised estimate of probable total project cost based on the final drawing and the specification. Number 3 is furnishing the necessary engineering data and assisting in the application for regulatory permits from local or national authorities. Number 4 is preparing basic documents related to construction contracts for review and approval by the client. This may include contracts agreement forms, general condition and supplementary conditions, invitation to bid, instruction to bidders, insurance and bonding requirements, and other contact-related documents. Number 5 is furnishing to the client a specific number of copies of drawing, specification, and other contact documents. Number 6 is providing final design and construction services for design-build contracts. The engineer generally serves as contractor to a general contractor during the initial planning and design phases period. Services provided by the engineer may extend through the construction phase as appropriate. And lastly, just like in the preliminary design phase, the last one is providing periodic status report. Next is the fourth phase of construction project, which is the bidding or negotiation phase. Services under this phase may include assisting the client in advertising for and obtaining bids or negotiation proposal for each separate prime construction contract. This includes maintaining a record of prospective bidders to whom bidding documents have been issued, attending pre-bid conferences, and receiving and processing deposits for bidding documents. Number 2 is issuing addenda as appropriate to interpret, clarify, expand, or amend the bidding documents. Number 3 is assisting the client in determining the qualifications and acceptability of the prospective contractors, subcontractors, and material suppliers. Number 4 is consulting with and advising the client as to the acceptability of the alternative materials and equipments proposed by prospective contractors when substitution prior to the award of contracts is allowed by the bidding documents. And lastly, number 5, attending the bid opening, preparing bid tabulation sheets, and providing assistance to the client in evaluating bids and proposals, and in assembling and awarding contracts for construction, materials, equipment, and services. The fifth phase of construction project is construction phase. Services under this phase involves consulting with and advising the client during construction, and are usually those associated with services as the client representative. Most civil engineers are not willing to assume the responsibilities associated with the construction pieces without resident project representative services at the site. Construction services may include: Number 1 is reviewing with design concept with compliance to the shop and erection drawing submitted by the contractors. Number 2 is reviewing laboratory, shop, and mill test report on materials and equipments. Number 3 is visiting the project site at appropriate intervals as construction proceeds to observe and report the progress and the quality of the executed work. Number 4 is providing services during construction by a full-time resident project representative and by supporting staff as required to enable construction to be accomplished in conformance to the construction drawing, specifications, and other contract documents. Number 5 is issuing instruction from the client to the contractors, issuing necessary interpretations and clarification of the contract documents, preparing change orders, requiring a special inspection and testing of the work, and making recommendations as to the acceptability of the work. Number 7 is preparing sketches required to resolve problems due to actual field condition encountered. Number 8 is determining amount of progress payment due based on degree of the completion of the work, and recommending insurance of such payment by the client. Number 9 is observing and assisting performance test and initial operation of the project. Number 10 is preparing record drawings from information submitted by the contractor. And lastly, making a final inspection and reporting on completion of the project. This includes recommendations concerning final payments to the constructor and release of the retained percentage. Next is the last phase of the construction project, which is the operation phase. At the completion of construction, the civil engineer may, as a basic service, assist in the startup of the project operation. The civil engineer may be commissioned to prepare a manual for both operation and maintenance requirements, and may also provide assistance in adjusting and balancing equipments, identifying deficiencies, and assisting in obtaining corrections, and performing inspections prior to the end of the project warranty period. The civil engineer may assist in operator training, setting up job classification and salaries, organizing the purchase of supplies, developing charts for recording operation data, and observing and reporting on project operations. So that will be my overall report for design services and construction projects. Thank you.